path wasn't as perfect as we thought. The job didn't fit, the career didn't fit. Sometimes your lifestyle changes. You get married and may have to move, and the career that you were working is not as viable as it was where you moved from. I can give an example of how my career has changed over the years and evolved in a manner that I was not expecting. First, let's start with college. I had spent my whole school career training to be a doctor. I took all the science courses, I took all the math courses, I took all the courses that was going to prepare me to be the person who cured the common cold, and I was just going to be this famous doctor. Went to college. I had a school who did not really have a biology course where they had dissection. Took my first dissection class and found out why Katrina would not make a great doctor. And basically, I wouldn't make a great doctor because I don't do large quantities of blood well. I don't do the ooey gooey squishy bits of you very well, so I would not have made a great doctor. I wouldn't have made it through medical school where you have to cut a cadaver when I couldn't stand a fetal pig and trying to get into that. So that was my first career change before the career even started. And so then I went into business. And in business, I did really well. I climbed the corporate ladder. I got where I thought, I wanted to be successful, and found myself being unfulfilled for whatever reason. And part of me felt a little selfish because I spent all this time building this career, and I was successful. I had everything I wanted in life, everything I needed in life, but I just was not happy and I was not satisfied with my career. And I found myself in a place where I had to make some decisions, because I really just was not satisfied. And I started networking and working my network, and I discovered that I had a passion for helping other people get to where they want to be in their career. And so in finding that out, I was able to develop the business that I have now, which led to this radio show and this radio program. And so I took a couple of different turns, to get where I am. And because I am where I am now and I took the turns that I took, then that made me, want to help other people know how to transition, and that you can transition, and that you are not wrong for wanting to transition, that there is help, and that you can transition and you can transition on. So I do see that the guest is on the line, and I am going to introduce her on the line so we can begin the interview with her. And she is a wonderful young lady who has a business like my own, who helps people who wants to transition in their careers, and she helps people transition in their careers. So I'm just going to give you her bio, and we are going to take it from there. And apparently, okay, one moment, little snag here, 'cause I'm trying to find her bio here. Well, while I'm doing that, I'm going to talk to you and let you know that she has a company called She Leads Beautifully, and she definitely does that. She leads beautifully. She worked in the academic career, and helped people in career services find work. And so she is someone who saw a lot of people transition, and she helps people to get where they want to be and empowers them to where they want to be. And I am going to get her bio, but I'm going to bring her on to have her start talking, and then I'm going to read the bio for her because I don't want to take any more time. Without any further ado, I am going to bring on Uzuma, and she is going to talk to you today. Hello, Uzuma, are you on the line right now? Okay. While we're waiting for her to come on, because we might be having some little difficulties, I did find her bio, thank goodness. And she is a certified career advisor and founder of She Leads Beautifully. Through this platform, she helps mid-career professional women repackage and showcase their expertise so that they can finally reach the next level in their careers. In her work, the primary areas of focus are career management, self-leadership, and personal branding. From Northwest Indiana, she serves as a full-time educator and is pursuing her doctorate in higher education leadership. And our topic today, again, is why it's okay to make a career change or pivot once you have hit mid-career. So that is an awesome topic to have, is that once you've hit mid-career, that it is okay to pivot. Okay. All right. So we are having some a little bit of some things that we are working out technically. And so while we are doing that, just give us one quick second because we are getting our person on. Okay. So thank you so much for your patience while we're getting this on. Hopefully we'll be able to get our speaker on in the next couple of seconds. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for your patience. She is going to be coming on in a few seconds. Thank you so very much. All right. All right. So she's coming on now. So as I was saying to you, she is very good at helping people repackage and repurpose their career management, and she is an expert in personal branding. She calls it personal branding. I like professional branding because when you're working in your career, it's your professional life and not necessarily your personal life. But personal branding is what many people in the career area says because it's yourself and it's not a company. But she's very great at that. She's good at helping people get to where they need to be and how to advertise themselves to companies to let them know that they are the best people for the position. So, I just want to just let y'all know that I just want to let y'all know that that's what she is, that she is a consummate professional. and she is actually coming on the line now. So I do apologize for the delay and the technical difficulty that I had on my side trying to get the guest on, and I thank her for her patience, and she is on now. Hello, can you hear us now?
Hi, Katrina. I can hear you. Hello.
Oh, thank goodness. I was like, oh, no.
No problem. I'm sitting here just waiting, and I hear the music in the background, so I'm glad that we have Facebook and technology to communicate with each other, so I'm happy we got it taken care of. Thank you.
Yes. See, like I said, the consummate professional, she understands that sometimes, things happen, and we were able to work out the kinks to get her on. I'm very excited to have her on the show because I really believe that she's going to give us some nuggets of knowledge to help you get to your next destination in your career. So I am going to start out with the first question. What are some reasons why women may consider making a career change after 5 to 10 years of doing the same type of work?
Well, great question. I think a lot of women and professionals in general make a career change after a number of years. And there are a variety of reasons why. The first one I would say is because they are bored or probably feeling unchallenged. And I think back into when I was in school and I knew the things that I wanted to do, say at 18 years old or 20-something years old in college, and wanting to find a new or start entering into the workplace for the first time. And the dreams that we had back then are not going to be the same dreams and goals that we have now at the mid-career level. And so once people begin to move up the ranks in the workplace or at their chosen career, and they've hit a number of milestones, they get to a point where they've done it all, right? And they feel like, okay, well, I've checked this one off, the box, and I've hit this goal, and I've made it, quote unquote. Now what? They feel like, okay, they've hit the top of their career. Maybe it's not the top, like they're the CEO of the organization, but they've hit certain levels where they feel like they've hit the ceiling and they realize it's time to move on. So that's number one, feeling bored or unchallenged. And then another one might be they selected a career because they knew it would be they would make money doing that, and they could live a good lifestyle. So say, for example, they might have wanted to be a nurse because their family told them that being a nurse, you can make a lot of money. But after doing this work for so long, maybe they've gotten their LPN, they're an RN now, and they realize, well, hold on a second. I really like this, and I can make a lot of money. I'm enjoying, helping and caring for people, but this really isn't my passion. I went into it because of the money, and now I really feel inside my soul that there's more that I could be doing, something different, and so that's a reason. Now, on the flip side of that, it could be because, they don't have enough money, and they are like, okay, I love this, it was my passion, but really it doesn't make a lot of money. So a good example of that are probably people who are like teachers, right? Unfortunately, a lot of teachers don't make a big salary, and so there's a point where you hit a wall and realize it's time to make a change. And the last point that I want to bring up is getting to the mid-level. This is where a lot of women are getting married. They're having children and families. They might have elderly parents who they might have to care for in their homes. And so even though they're thriving and moving up, to have a seat at the table, they get to a point where they probably have to slow down a bit and have more time at home and need more flexibility. So they might make a career change. It might be temporary, but this is something that they do because they need it, because they're in a different season of their life.
And that's awesome. You bring up some great nuggets. Number one, being in a career where you're making money, you're right where you're supposed to be at that time, but you don't feel fulfilled.
Right.
And so it's like, okay, now I have to do some reevaluation, because if you're not fulfilled, all the money in the world does not make you happy. So is stepping out and making that change to see what is going to make me happy. And then you have the flip side, like you said, where you're working your passion, but you're barely making a living. And so it's, okay, can I work my passion maybe as a hobby and then, or part-time, and then working another job that maybe helps me pay my bills?
Yes, exactly. And I think, some people feel, a certain kind of way about having a part-time job or doing additional things, and, they get caught up on this one job title, like their identity gets wrapped around this title. And I want to caution against that, because as you move through our careers, our life changes. It's okay to evolve over time. That if we hold too deeply to one particular job title, say that an organization gives you, then if that job goes away, say you lose that job for whatever reason and move on to something else or want to do a career change, then your identity is kind of messed up there, right? You're kind of holding on to something that isn't there anymore. And so it's really important to be flexible and try different things. That way you're fully able to do maybe what pays you full time, but also what you can do as a hobby or possibly what you do part time. And there are other ways, if we want to get into that, we can, but that's just kind of it in a nutshell. That not to wrap yourself around just your job title.
And that is so true, because people do wrap their identities around their job title. And so not even just doing a change because, well, it's still a life change, but if you get laid off, then it's like I've heard people come to me as a coach, as a resume writer, was like, well, what am I going to do now? I'm an accountant. And it's like, no, you're not an accountant. You're Jane Doe who did accounting work. But maybe now you are Jane Doe who does medical assistance, So, that is a big thing where people put that title on themselves. And when that title goes away for whatever reason, then they don't know who they are. So that's part of, doing your self-leadership, your personal branding. Who are you as a person, and everything like that. And when you find out who you are as a whole person, you can pivot. You can make a career change.
Exactly. And I think a lot of people aren't, at least those who I've come across in my coaching experience, are not heavily focused on personal branding. And they may not even know what that really is. And so if you're listening and you're not really sure what personal branding is, your personal brand, I would say just in the workspace, in the business spaces, we know what that is there, but it's really just your reputation, how others feel about you or think about you, what they say about you in terms of who you are, your full self, right? So your interest, your values, your expertise, all of that. And so that is your brand, and you have one whether you like to believe so or not. And so the act of personal branding is taking advantage or taking ownership of your own brand and marketing it in a way that puts your reputation or your true self out in the light that you want others to see. And that's really important. And so I feel like a lot of professional, women are not really doing that. If they are, it's not really intentional, but I recommend they start doing that now, and that will really help them to get out of that space of just only owning up to just their singular job title.
Exactly. And I what you said was powerful as far as your personal brand being your reputation. And that is so true. And basically you have to ask yourself, what do people say about me? Mm-hmm. What do they call me? Am I the problem solver or am I the troublemaker? And that's your personal brand. And sometimes to know what your professional brand is, you have to ask people who know you, ask people who know you professionally, ask people and be honest with it and be ready to hear the answer and not to be offended when people say it, because you might have this brand now, but you can work and repurpose your brand and change your brand. If your brand is something that you don't want, you can actually go out there and project a brand and rebuild your brand.
For sure. And that's going to be important. We're talking about changing careers, that sometimes you make a complete, 180 and going in a completely different direction than what you were doing before. That will be essential in looking for those new jobs. So when we talk about transferable skills, that's pretty much what personal branding is that you're taking your transferable skills, those skills that you have gained and learned throughout all of your job experiences, even volunteer experience and other things that are important, say, that could be transferred over to a new career. And so you package that, and that's the direction that you want to take moving forward. And so personal branding is just you taking your transferable skills and packaging that.
Right. And I'm going to go, because you've given me such tidbits just from the first question, and I'm giving the follow-up question. I'm going to go to the next question, because I want to make sure that we get out everything, because I like the next question of why some women are afraid to pivot once they have finally made it, in quotations, made it, or reached a certain level of success in their career, even though they are no longer fulfilled.
Right. As humans, we're really comfortable, doing the same things we've been doing for so long because it's easy. We've already perfected our craft, and if we're in a space and we've been doing this for so long, we know it like the back of our hand. And so trying to move into a completely different territory is scary. So, fear is definitely, one of the reasons why women stay where they are, even though they know they are ready for a change. So it's that fear of the unknown and feeling like they just really have no idea what to expect because they haven't been there. Another thing it might be family. When you, let's say, for example, you are a, let's say, medical doctor. You spent years of your time in school and, thousands upon thousands of dollars paying for the education, and you have this amazing salary. But then you come home and tell your family that, I want to be an artist and I want to sell art or work for a, art gallery locally in my town. A lot of families are going to think, oh, my gosh, you're crazy. Why would you want to lose, this amazing salary or this status to be called doctor? And all these years are wasted. And so people are afraid of what others will think of them, and they won't make a move because of that. They feel that they're going to be talked about or judged or not be supported. And while that's a very valid thing that people do, it shouldn't hold you back, because at the end of the day, this is your life, and you're the only one living it. And if you feel that this is something that is what you need to do, it's important to explore that. And then another reason why people don't make that leap is because of the imposter phenomenon or imposter syndrome that's more commonly known, and that is the feeling of not being good enough or prepared enough or smart enough or whatever, feeling like a fraud. So if you want to move into a new industry, and even though you have those skills, so going back to the transferable skills, even though you have those skills, because you haven't been doing that work before, the person feels as though they're a fraud, that they shouldn't be in this new space because they've not done it for 5-10 years. Well, Here's what I have to say to that is, well, look, everyone starts from zero. You can't be an expert starting off in a new career anywhere. And even though that person doesn't have that quote-unquote job title, doesn't mean that person isn't very much capable of doing the work. And so that's one thing that I say is to push through anyway, because you're going to start from the beginning. And anything, going back to the fear, anything that we've never done before is going to scare us. It is protecting us from some of those dangers of our human nature from, ancient days, to protect us from danger. But really, this is not real danger. It's just our body feeling that way. And when we push through to the other side, we can only grow further. When we don't feel that fear and we don't actually move forward, then we're holding ourselves back, and we're not even challenging ourselves, and we're not opening ourselves to better opportunities. And so I talk to my clients something about pushing past that and just doing it anyway. And there's only so much more success that we can see after that, is after we pass over that fear.
Right. And again, some great nuggets. The first one, because I take notes while people are giving things to me, that transition is scary because, like you said, it's an unknown. And so it's the thing of letting people know that it doesn't have to be as scary if you get the proper support. And like you were saying, you were dealing with your clients. So engaging a professional to help you and help guide the way and light the path and provide some tools that you need, even the tools to deal with your family. Because, like you said, you're going to get feedback from your family, whether you're married, whether you're not married. It could be your parents. It could be your brother. It could even be your best friend who, they don't see your vision and they don't see your goals. And so they're like, wait a minute, you spent all of this time doing this, why are you
Right.
making this change now? And
Mhm.
this might not make as much money, and everything like that. And so then now they let the air out of their sails. Like they're like, oh wow,
Yeah.
I'm going to do this thing, and then they come and the person to come meaning well because they want to protect you, but then they just deflate you
Mhm.
like air out of a
Right.
balloon.
Exactly. And it's not even just like family and friends and people who are in your industry. So this happened to me too. And, I share this with my audience a lot about my history and having, an employer who had to reduce the number of employees just for financial reasons. And so I was one of those whose position got cut. And
Mhm.
when I did not stay within the industry, I've had colleagues go, this is like career suicide in a way that you're not moving into the same space. And while it was a scary move to make, I had options. I actually turned down an option for, the role that I ended up taking. But there was reasons why that not everyone always understands. And
Right.
what we can explain it, but we don't have to explain it. It's our career journey. And that's something that's important for, the listeners who might be considering a career change is at the end of the day, this is your journey. And I feel like a lot of women don't always take that into account. They're waiting for their employer to promote them. They're waiting for their, things to fall into their lap, just magically, things like that. And it's like, no, you have to go for it and go for these different things and be okay making that pivot. You don't have to wait for permission to do that. And while it's scary, and I love, Katrina, how you mentioned about enlisting, someone to support you, because having someone there to coach and support you along the way makes the process a lot easier, because it's not someone who's in the family or friend who can, direct you in the wrong direction. And even with your skills and interests, even though you're good at something doesn't mean that's what you should be doing. So I've
Right.
had friends who've told me that, oh, you have really good interest in this area. Say, for example, event planning, you're such a great, I plan baby showers and things like that. But that's not what I want to do for, a career. It's a hobby. And some people end up wanting to follow their passions as a business or in a career space, but then that's probably not the right direction they want to go either. So hearing
Right.
from people that this is what you do, this is what you should be doing is not always the best advice. You have to trust your gut and really sit down and reflect and think about all the things that you want to do and want to pursue and consider.
Exactly. And you said something great when you were saying that just because you have an interest in something or you're even good at something doesn't mean that that's what you're supposed to do. And a lot of times,
Mhm.
especially particularly as women, we tend to get caught in, okay, you do this well, and so you keep having people ask you to do the same thing. And we as women
Mhm.
don't want to say, I don't want to do that. Like men will
Yeah.
be quick to say, oh, no, I don't want to do that. I
I'm
helped
not
you
doing
out one
that.
time. I'm not going to keep doing it.
Mhm. Right.
and, and so you get stuck in what is called burnout skills.
Mhm.
And so you're working these skills and you keep getting the same jobs and the same thing because that's what you're putting on your resume that you do, but you don't want to do them. So
Right.
professionals will help you identify those burnout skills so you can take those skills off because you have
Mhm.
other skills. These are just the
Yeah.
ones that come to the forefront because these are the ones that you're, highlighting day to day on a job because, again, your brand, your personal brand has been put out there. It was like, oh, she's great at organizing. So now they're putting you on all kinds of organizational projects where you want to be
Exactly.
a project manager, you know? And
Right.
so,
And that's kind of going back to the personal branding. I didn't mean to cut you
yes,
off. The back to personal branding is taking those things off. Just because you did it doesn't mean it has to stay on your resume. It doesn't mean you can put it on your LinkedIn. Take those things off and put the things on there that are going to take you forward to where you want to go.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. That is what number one. I love your energy and exuberance. I could tell when we discussed this earlier that it was going to
Yeah.
be like that, and I feel like that's the energy that people need when they're trying to move into their careers. Is come on,
Right.
we can do this
Agree.
and everything, and you can do it, and I'm going to help you get there.
Right. And honestly, and that's what happened for me when I was seeking out, the direction I wanted to take moving forward. I knew I wanted to be in a career services space, in hiring, employment, that kind of area, and coaching professionals to move up in their careers or find the type of jobs that they really want. And I didn't always know this. It was with me working with a coach who was able to help me pull out. Like I've always done this, Clifton Strengths. I think that's what they're calling it now, or formerly known as Strengths Finder, and or what's the other one, Strengths Quest for the college students. And we did that, and one of my top strengths is developer. Another one is maximizer. So I'm really good at helping people, help them pull out what's good, their own strengths so they can actually take it and win. And my coach said when we were talking about this and I was sharing my, background and my interest, and she said, "You're a coach." I was like, ding, ding, ding. And I've always known this as a mentor and things like that. And so it sometimes helps to have somebody else on the outside looking in to help you pull out those qualities. And then maybe you didn't even know were there. You knew were there, but you never really tapped into it. And not saying to jump right in, but to take some time to explore those skills and interests and values and those things that might help you in your next career.
Exactly. And we're just going to take a short break and have our sponsor come in, and then we are going to continue this interview on transitioning.
Are you frustrated with your job search? Have you been applying for positions but haven't received any interview calls? Have you been in a position for some time now and want to apply for a promotion or want to move to another company? Do you need help updating your resume and or LinkedIn profile? Do you want to change careers but need help deciding what career path to take? If you answered yes to one or more of these questions, then Venture Ready LLC Interview Readiness Consulting can assist you with building your professional brand and increasing the likelihood of getting interviews. Contact us today for a free assessment. 1-888-712-4956. info@ventureready.net or www.ventureready.net/contact_us.
Okay, so that was our sponsor. So if you need a resume written or you need coaching or you need a LinkedIn profile, Venture Ready LLC is there to help you and to assist you with that. And just to know that for our listeners today, and it will be posted on Facebook, if you are trying to pivot or have a career change, I am offering a book for those who are working, and it is a job search manual for people who are working, because when you're working, you have to be a little bit careful in your job search to make sure that you are protected. Everyone's on social media, including your employer, and there are telltale signs to let people know that you are searching, and you don't want to be downsize before you have a chance to make the move and the transition that you need to make, and this book will help you with that. And we are back with a very, very, very interesting conversation on changing careers and why it is okay to pivot. And I just wanted to, before we go into the follow-up question that I have, is to say that now is the time. It's December. It is the last month of the year. This is the time that you should take to consider where you are. Are you happy in your career? Are you maximizing your space in your career? Because maybe your change is getting the promotion as opposed to making that career change, because it's a career change or a pivot. So a pivot could be that, okay, I worked in customer service, but now I'm in a company and I see a position that is not customer service based. And we're going to talk about that a little bit, because customer service is in every part of whatever position you get. It may be face-to-face customer service. It may be dealing with clients. It may be dealing with the internal customer, meaning other departments. So you can change that customer service skill set and transfer it into what you need to go. But this is the time that you want to consider that. You want to make some goals for the new year. You don't want to necessarily have to wait until the new year to make some goals, so that you can hit the ground running in the new year when you start January 1st or January 2nd after the holiday. But I do wanted to touch a little bit more on the family aspect, because that is actually something that I was speaking to someone about, and how your family can make a big impact on you as far as your career, where you do have to make a change or you have to make a pivot. Whereas, now I'm a mom, or maybe I lost a loved one. I was married and I lost a spouse. These things happen. Now my parents were doing great, and now they're taking a sudden turn, and now I'm my parents' caregiver. And maybe I needed to even take some time off to help take care of my ailing loved one, or, I had a kid, and, it was a little more taxing than I thought to be a new mom. Maybe I had twins or triplets as opposed to just having one child, and now I just have to take a break to just stable this part of my life. And now I'm coming back, but now that I'm coming back to the workforce, I might not want to do what I did before, because now my life has changed. So how would you coach someone who's in that position where their life just changed around them?
Yes, that's a great question. I think having them really think about what really matters to them in that current season of life, and focus on self and, of course, family. So if there's a spouse there, definitely speaking with the spouse to find out what the goals and priorities are for that, for their unit, and what they need to be doing for the next year or so. Because some of these life changes might be temporary, so they can take a step back for the time being until things kind of stable out and they can move forward at that point. So just having that conversation. If you're not with the spouse, that's something that you want to discuss, or, think about for yourself and reflect and write this stuff down and have a plan. So maybe you are taking off work for a year, but don't just take off work for a year without a plan in place, because when you want to get back to work a year later, then it's going to be hard to get back in. So what are you going to be doing in the meantime to help keep up with the trends in your industry or the industry that you want to transition into? What kind of things are you going to be doing to volunteer or to professional development during that time, so that you can stay relevant during a break? That way when you come back, you can hit the ground running. Also important to keep up with your network at all times. This is not just when you're at a career change or looking for a new job. You want to be nurturing your current network and building relationships with new people to add to your network at all times. And that's something that a lot of women are not doing. I feel like people are thinking of networking only when they're looking for a job, and that's the worst time to do it, because people don't want to feel like they're being used, where you email them and say, hey, looking for a job. Do you know anything, or you know of any positions? That's not the way it goes. And so that's one of the first things I would recommend the person do if they are considering a change or pulling back, if there's things going on with self or with their family, and they have to slow down.
Excellent, excellent. And again, some great nuggets, and I want to kind of break those down a little bit more. Yes, when you have taken a break, you do have time to volunteer.
Absolutely.
And that gives you job experience that people don't think is job experience, because they feel like I'm volunteering my time. But volunteer comes with another word with it, is volunteer work.
Right?
And so it's the reason why, and you're using those skills. You're just not being paid for it, but you're still using those skills, and you can put those things on your resume to say, I was out because I needed to be out, but during those 6 months, during that year, I volunteered at XYZ organization. And of course the dates will show if you were there for 6 months or whatever, but it was just like, okay, I did part-time. I couldn't do it full-time because I had these obligations, but I still, like you said, remained relevant. Or, okay, while I was home, being a stay-at-home mom or being a caregiver, I took online courses, and now I have my master's degree. And so that helps. So it was like, okay, I was able to do that without focusing on the situation as far as, okay, I had an ailing parent or I had to take care of my children. you're focusing on, yes, I took that break, and you're acknowledging that, but you're focusing on, this is what I did to remain where I needed to be. And like you said, work that network. Work that network, whether while you're working. And like you said, because this is what I learned a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
People hire people. People hire people that they have a connection with. People hire people that are friendly with them. People hire people who they feel are their friends. And that is the gosh honest truth. Whether people think it's fair or not, nepotism, whether it's a family member or whether it's a friend or someone that is seen to be a friend, is what people do.
Mm-hmm.
If people can't relate to you, then they don't hire you.
Yeah. And that's what we talk about, the hidden job market that people don't always tap into. And at the mid-career level, depending on what kind of industry that you're in, you're not looking at postings on the job site or, on the company's website, because hiring is expensive, and hiring managers don't really have a lot of time for that, and they would rather go with someone who they feel like they know or were recommended by somebody. So again, going back to personal branding, if you already have your brand solid and people, your peers, your colleagues know what you do, they're more likely to recommend you for these positions. You're going to be sought after by these companies and organizations because they see exactly what they want in you and your brand. So there's so many pieces. I know we're kind of, moving around here about this career change, but all of these pieces go hand in hand that people don't always think about when it comes to strategically making a career change. And it's really important that all of these factors go into play.
Exactly. And building your network and keeping your network relevant isn't hard. People think it's hard work, and it's really not. Especially now with social media and LinkedIn.
There's no reason, right, why you can't keep up with your network. There's no reason.
Yes. And it takes a few minutes. You were working with someone, people know you're out, just, send a little thing through LinkedIn. Hey, I was thinking about you. Just wanted to know how you was doing. And especially if you're out, people are concerned. So if you reach out and they be like, "Oh, how are you doing? I know you're out." Certain conversations you can't have on the job, but outside the job. And when you reach out to someone, it's like, "I just, was just checking in and everything, seeing how you doing." They're going to turn around, "How are you doing? I heard you had to do such and such and such and such." And there'll be people say, "Let me know when you're ready to come back."
Very true.
Because people are concerned and they're willing to help. But like you said, they don't want to feel like they're being used, that you're only contacting them to get something. And so that is the key of strengthening your network and keeping your network relevant. And LinkedIn is great because just like, I had to make a move or took a pause for family reasons. I'm just saying me just in general, but other people leave the company. So you want to keep your network relevant, whereas they might have been at your company, but now they're at a new company. And who knows, it might be the company that you want to go to, or they might be in a department of where you want to go to. And honestly, and this is just real talk, even if you don't necessarily have the skills for the position, just the fact that you knew that person to get your foot in the door.
True statement. I mean, it sounds like it's not the right thing to do, but these kind of things really happen. They really happen. I mean, 'cause a lot of positions you can be trained on the job. You can go, your employer can send you off to a training, and you can do what you need to do. So when people are thinking, well, I've got all the experience, why did I get picked over the next person? Well, it's not always about how much you know or your expertise or your education level. That's not it. How much do you show up and stand out for those who are looking to pull you up, and do you have a relationship with them? That's
exactly. I was taught by one of my best friends' mother coming up, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And when she said it, I was young and everything. I didn't really think too much of it, but it was absolutely right. It was who I knew that helped me grow in my career, and it was who I knew and who I met with and who I networked with that helped me grow in my business. You know, even when I didn't even know I had a business in me, people saw that in me. Again, your personal brand, what you give off.
Right.
And because I didn't come to them with a handout, oh, can you help me with this? I just came because I wanted to network with other professional women. Because, again, I had that hole, like most women do, or people, period, when they're mid-career and everything like that, and they find themselves in that position, just have a hole. And not everybody's going to have a hole mid-career, but some people do, and I was one of those people. And so I joined a professional network because I said, well, if I talk to other professional women, maybe that's what I'm missing and everything, and this will encourage me to be a better me or see where that hole is. And I did learn where that hole is. It was the fact that I had this calling to help other people get where they needed to be, and they were able to see it even when I wasn't able to see it. And that's one of the things with having your network, too. Your network will pull things out of you that you didn't even know were there.
Right. Very true. And you mentioned a point about putting yourself in situations. So not only is it who you know, but also who knows you. And so it's important to be in the right spaces in front of the right people so that you can be, you know, you can position yourself for your opportunities to happen. And so there's this theory called the happenstance theory or planned happenstance. I believe it's by John Crumboldt. And I love this because it talks about how you can find yourself in opportunities just by chance. And so I'm a big planner. I love to plan out my year and my months and my days. But we have to realize that not everything can be planned. And so, but when you put yourself in certain situations, right, if people get off their butt and are hoping for this job to fall in their lap and actually go out and network or go to events and go to the right places, things can happen for you. You will have someone come to you and say, oh, well, this is what you're interested in. Well, I know someone who knows someone. I'll put you in touch with that, you know, with this person. Or, hey, give me your card. I'll give you a call next week and we can talk about X, Y, Z. And so these opportunities that never would have been presented to you are now going to be available by chance just because you put yourself out there. Got out of your comfort zone and went to spaces that you may have never went to before, but now you are there and you found yourself far ahead than what you would have been if you didn't.
And that is so true. When you're saying that, it reminded me of a couple of things. You want your name to come up in conversations even when you're not around. And I found that in my career that happened when people were like, oh, the CEO was talking about you, or the VPs were talking about you, and everywhere I kept hearing Katrina, and I'm like, who is this? And I have to meet them. And and so you want that because now it doesn't just become a one-sided thing where you're looking for a job. People are actually looking for you. And my last opportunity that I had, I met someone in a network doing something else completely, and they called me out of the blue and was like, oh, I know this company that you would be great for, and I called them and I talked you up to them. And I was like, what? I'm not even looking for a job.
All right.
and she was like, no, you don't understand. This company would be perfect for you. And she said, I just keep talking you up. And every, couple of weeks she would say, I was still talking you up. And it led to a job that I wasn't even looking for.
That's awesome. And we want people like that in our corner who are going to advocate for us because they truly know how amazing you are. Again, when you put that brand out there, it is clear. There is no misunderstanding about what it is that you want to be doing or what your expertise is. That's awesome, Katrina.
Yes, and I say that not to toot my horn, but to say that's what our listeners want. Like, you want to put your brand out there so much that even when you're not looking for an opportunity necessarily, or looking even for that opportunity to come in a way that it comes, that when you're not in the room, people are talking about you. When you're not in the room, people are tooting your horn to the point that it inspires people to say, who is this woman?
Yes.
You know,
I want to know her. I want her on my team.
Yes, exactly the point, and that's what I try to put out to my clients. You want people to say, I'm the best person for this job, that I'm the person for this job.
Yes.
And there's a difference. You're the best candidate. Oh, no, she's the candidate, for this job. And that is the difference between you getting a job and not getting a job. It is the difference. That's you getting a job without people even really looking at your resume.
Yeah.
And I was like,
that's the way we want to be.
Yes. Yes. Now, when you get in front of that person, you still want to make sure your resume is polished. Because if you get the right person, they can think you're awesome and everything and look at their resume and say, they're not detail-oriented. I can't do it.
Right.
Seriously.
It's too funny, but true.
I'm one of those people.
Uh-oh.
Well, because in certain situations, I understand, because especially in the age of social media, I'm always flying out a message, and thank God Facebook has edit, because sometimes my messages look so crazy. But in certain situations, you expect certain things in certain situations. So if I'm sitting across from you in an interview, to me, to have a resume that is full of errors and things like that lets me know you did not prepare and properly, and it lets me know that you are, especially if you put detail-oriented in there. You detail-oriented?
Are you sure about that?
Now, I'm a little nicer about, and like, you have some, things going on, and
I mean that we're laughing, but it's a good point. I mean, let's say the person doesn't get, selected because of their brand and someone, referred them, but if they're going through, say, applicant tracking systems, the ATS, through an online system, or you have 100 applications, the hiring managers are looking for the easiest way to scrap you from the pile before they get to really selecting who they want. So things like typos, and you're putting the wrong job, the wrong company, wrong position on the resume because you did so many and you forgot to change the name, those are going to be things that are going to get your resume tossed before they even take their time to look at the high-quality resume. So that's really important. Really important to make those to avoid any errors.
Yes, and I tell people, the job search, people think, it's about finding the right candidate. Yes, it is. But it's about elimination.
Yeah.
I have 500 resumes. Okay, what can I do to eliminate this to get me down to the best 5 or 6, if 6, and everything like that, so I can interview for this.
And
I do really, really thank you and appreciate your patience while we got things together, because we are actually at the top of the hour.
Wow, that was fast.
Yes, it was. That goes to show how enjoyable it was. I know that our listeners found this very educational and enjoyable. I just want to give just a little bit more information as we close off with your website, www.sheleadsbeautifully.com. She can help you with your career transition, with your self-leadership and personal branding. Awesome individual. Her Facebook handle is @SheLeadsBeautifully. Her Instagram is @SheIsAzuma. Am I saying that right? Please tell me if I'm saying that right.
Uzoma.
Okay.
Uzoma.
And #SheLeadsBeautifully on all platforms. A wonderful individual. As you can see, very energetic. Will give you some great tidbits and some great nuggets to help you get where you need to be in your career. And we are signing off. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Katrina. Thank you all. Good night.
Thank you for tuning in to Career GPS. Join us next Wednesday for more insights from career experts and thought leaders from around the globe. We'll help you reach the next destination in your career. To be a guest on the show, contact us at info@ventureready.net or call us at 888-712-4956.